Welcome to the Studio Rats Live Q&A number 69, dude. Sorry, I couldn't resist. My name's James Ivy.
Hi, Paul Drew.
And Paul Drew is an unhappy man right now, boys and girls.
No, I'm not an unhappy man. I'm not an unhappy man.
Yeah, you are.
Well, we can talk about that in a minute. We'll talk
about
that in a minute.
It's good to get the shout outs in first. Mr. Ayton was first in this morning. Good evening, Mike. Sapie is also in the house. We know there's more of you out there. Say hi, join in. I'm going to post the link to the show because dagnamit, well? I can do. Yeah, I'm getting there. I'm getting there. I'm going to post the link.
So, Mr. Thomas Blug is coming on after his show. Mm-hmm. So I reckon he'll be coming on in about an hour. I would say.
He thinks about 9 o'clock. So we'll get all the normal gaff out the way, as in us whittering and moaning and stuff for an hour or so. Then we'll get Thomas on.
That's you moaning. I don't do a lot of moaning.
You do witter though.
Yeah, I witter, you moan. That's probably true.
Yeah, fair enough. Witterers and moaners, we both. So what have you, in true wittering style, what have you been up to thus far this week?
This week, well, what did I do this week? Friday last week, I went to Guitar because a friend of mine wants to start playing guitar.
Mm-hmm.
And so he wanted a guitar. Now I went into Guitar, and actually, I wish I had a picture of it. I might have a picture of it somewhere. There was this white Strat.
Mm-hmm.
It's a Mexican Strat. I can't remember what the model is.
Yeah, but a white Mexican Strat.
A white Mexican Strat, and it was 400 quid. And this guitar was unbelievable.
Good or unbelievable bad?
Just so good.
Right.
Just so good because I thought, right, his budget's 400 quid, perfect. This was, I can't remember. Maybe it's I can't remember the model. It's a Mexican, one of the Mexican ones. Right. Anyway, it was just so good. And I sent him the picture, and he said, "Oh no, it looks a bit Mark Knopfler." So, and I said, "No, Mark Knopfler's got he's got a red Strat, hasn't he? That's more." But anyway, I personally really feel he missed out on that guitar because it was just fantastic. If anyone's looking for a Fender Strat, and have a look at the second-hand one that's in Guitar and Epsom.
Well, at least it was in Guitar and Epsom, at least.
Yeah, it's so good. So good. But, so anyway, go on.
What's it? So I want to know how much his budget was for his first guitar.
400 quid.
That's not bad. Okay, yeah, good place to start.
Yeah, definitely. So I said, get a second-hand, spend 400 quid on a second-hand guitar, and then if you don't like it, you can always sell it for 400 quid.
Exactly.
Yeah.
As opposed to buying something new for 120 quid, which is worth a £5 on eBay.
Absolutely.
Same with drum kits, same with any instrument. Buy second-hand for your first one. Don't buy new unless you're buying something that has resale value.
Absolutely. So, so he didn't like that. So I picked up, and I know he his favourite band is the Waterboys. So I know he wants something that's probably a bit more vintage looking. Mm-hmm. Not that a white Strat doesn't, but a bit more, So I pick up the 335, the Epiphone 335. And what a corker.
Do hold.
Go on.
My first guitar was an Epiphone 335.
It's very different. What is so different about that one? I mean, it's got block inlays.
It's got block inlays.
And it's got this funny flowery thing going up the headstock. What's that about?
Oh, bear in mind, believe it or not, this is a 30-year-old guitar. This was my first guitar when I was 14 years old. So theoretically, it's seen a lot of action. That's just the headstock style they had back then. The one you played was had dot inlays, didn't it?
Yeah.
A la 335 dot.
Yeah.
This is the standard Epiphone Sheraton of the day, which was the equivalent to a 335.
Can I say the only thing that I don't like about Epiphones, and I did actually put this in the video, but for some reason I must have lost the edit, is the headstock.
I think the headstock is weak.
It's the worst thing about that guitar. But I mean, so the new ones, these Epiphone have just done these inspired by Gibson range.
Yeah.
And I think that's more like the classic sort of Gibson.
You'll notice this one does have a Gibson cover, a Gibson.
Right. Truss rod cover. Yeah.
But that's a 30-year-old guitar. And I tell you what, it still sounds amazing. I would love to hear what you think of it. I'll bring it over next time I come, so you can do a kind of a, was it fluke, or are they just great?
Well, can I say, I do think Far East guitar building has dramatically improved over the last 30 years, especially the last 10 years.
Yeah. But even now, I still think that's a very playable guitar. It's not a guitar I go, oh God, I've got to use that. It's still a guitar I go, I enjoy playing this. I've actually put, I want to put flat wounds on it and make it more of a jazzy guitar. Haven't
you changed the pickups in that one?
No, I haven't. I keep talking about doing it, but I never have.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, it's on my to-do list, but I also think changing the pickups in a semi is quite a task. And can I be bothered?
Well, you don't do it. Get the man in to do it.
Well, I know. Get Steve to do it. Oh, I also have an update on your Hofner as well, which I'll save for when you're feeling a little less depressed.
Oh no! Oh really? Okay.
Do you want it?
That could have been expensive.
Do you want the update now?
Should we tell everyone? Should we tell everyone what happened? Because just in case they weren't here when we did it. So there was a guitar auction a few weeks ago, and in some sort of fit of madness, these Hofners came up. This 1962 Hofner came up, and I went, "Oh, that looked great in my living room, even if I just get it for that." And I think someone was bidding against me, and I thought I was going to get it for about 120 quid or something. I think I ended up paying about 260 for it. But it's a 1962 classic guitar, and it does look cool, doesn't it?
It does look cool.
It does look cool. Yeah, I am very much overspent on it. Anyway, go on. What's the damage? Okay.
This is from my guitar lutherer, guitar repairer, setter-upperer. Now, bear in mind, I went to his house this is one of the things I've been doing this week. I went over to his on Monday with my Les Paul, which I think needed some help, my Eggle, which needed some help, the 12-string Echo that I picked up at the auction, and my bass, my jazz bass. Basically, 3 of them needed tweak and a setup. The Echo needs a bit of work. So I picked up for 110 quid. It needs a couple hundred quid's worth of work, because basically the bridge is lifting up from the top, and it's pulling the top out of shape.
Okay.
It's not, basically there's a kit you can get. It's 80 quid, and it's going to cost a couple of hundred quid to get done. And that's including a set of strings and a setup and fret dressing and all that sort of stuff.
Oh, that's right. So it's a couple of hundred quid repair, but they include a set of strings. Oh, that's great.
Yeah, and a setup. And right. However, my news for you, sir, is not so good.
Oh, it's worse than that.
Oh, so Steve says, "Hi, James. I had a look over the Hofner, and although the repair is possible, it's not really something I'd want to get involved with right now. I did have a look at the guitar, and it will need a neck reset for starters. The back is also coming away. The binding will need replacing in a few areas. It will need refretting, and there's a twist in the neck, so that will need sorting first. There was no output on the electrics."
Oh, then you said it sounded great.
It did work for me, yeah.
Okay.
The electrics will require some attention and possibly some replacement switches if they don't clean up. I'd say you're looking at 600 plus to get this thing right, and that's without starting the job right now and finding more problems.
Oh, that's an expensive guitar. Hold on a second. Let's have a think. So that's completely fixed.
Yeah.
I think it's worth a think. I mean, it's horrendous. It's absolutely horrendous. But to lose in a repair and the tax man just goes, "Oh, we had to have something repaired." I don't know. Okay, that's it's worth a thought. Gutted though. I thought it was going to be I was going to be gutted at a couple of £100, but 600 quid.
Yeah.
Nasty.
Yeah.
Okay, should we do some questions just to try and cheer me up?
Okay. Yeah, I haven't done anything else this week. Thanks. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically what you were saying.
No, all I've done this week is Paul and I are off to Birmingham this weekend for the Arnold Sports Festival UK. Arnold, as in the Governator, Arnold Schwarzenegger.
I'm competing, by the way. Look at them guns.
Paul and I are running one of the stages, technically. So if any of you lot are going to be at the Arnold Classic Sports event at the NEC, a bunch of musos at a sports event.
I don't think it's going to happen.
Anyway, come and see us. We will be in Hall 12, making lots of noise. You won't miss us. Anywho, let's dive into some questions because that's where we should start because we've got to plow on through and stuff.
You've got lots to get through in 50 minutes.
Yeah, I'm going to start with Safey because this made me laugh.
Safey says, if one puts fuzz pedals after buffer, one is unhappy. It's true.
It should be true. You're absolutely right. It should be true. But it ain't working. PW, whoever you are, I can't yet see you, so I can't put you into the stream. Once your camera's on and I can see you, you can come in and join us, but I can't see who you are yet, so I'm not going to put you live. Just to let you know. No, PW.
Yeah, PW. Right.
PW. All right. Yeah.
Next one.
Bruce Brooks says, hello.
Hey, Bruce. Mike says, ooh, love Thomas Blug. Saw him at London Guitar Show thing. What a player. Yeah, he's awesome, isn't he? Good player. Hi, people. Hope all is well. And with you, David.
Yeah. A new name.
Par.
Is it par or is it pear? I think it's pear.
Yes, you might be right there with the little dooflers. Yeah, as well.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Good evening, mate. Good evening. Dave's in the house. Even David.
And another new name. I think.
That's a good picture.
That's
anyone that can gurn, and I think we should have like a gurning competition.
I love the fact.
Come on, and we should just have a gurning competition. Just ignore all the rubbish about guitar chat.
I think the fact that you knew it was called gurning made me smile even more.
Paul Taylor says, "Hi lads, I love the show. Greeting from West Cumbria. Greetings, Paul." Mike says, "My first guitar was an Echo 12 string. Genesis fan." Interesting.
That's what I bought. Yeah. Mike and I had a similar chat about this afterwards.
Nice. Hollywood actress. Awesome. I look forward to Thomas as I watch a lot of his Academy of Tone live videos. Awesome. Great. Yes. We're all looking forward to that. Happy Me says, how a week goes so quickly. Evening, chaps. Evening, mate. Bruce says, the only big advantage of being a guitar snob is that the snobbish guitars either hold or increase in value. Non-snob guitars usually don't. That is very true. That is a good point. And that is one of the reasons why I buy
branded,
yes.
Yeah.
But there's not, I mean, when I tried out at the same time, and I said this in the video, I tried out a custom shop 335.
Mm-hmm.
It was all over the place. Honestly, this guitar was so much better.
There was a quick whinge time again. I looked at my favorite Facebook ads, the ones where they haven't got any stock. Thank you, Gak. And they had a 335 in that tobacco burst. Looked really sexy. I was like, oh.
I'm a red man myself. I've got to be red.
Clicked on it, no stock. What's the point? I would have driven down there. I was in that sort of mood.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Guitar, I've got a couple. Ooh. Jeff Rock says, I've got one of the Echo guitars at my Caton. It was my second guitar. Nice. Stephen says, good day from Brisbane. Good day, Stephen. Hollywood actress, my first guitar was a Sun Mustang 80. I remember them.
Oh, so do I, yeah.
80s, India with Fender headstock. They're made in India, were they? Wow. Still have it, and it's quality. Didn't realize how good it was until 10 years ago. Always thought the guitar wasn't good and cheap. Do you know my first guitar was a Japanese Squire Strat. I think they were 150 quid at the time.
Yeah,
over a grand now.
And there were some amazing guitars in that era. Yeah. Believe it or not, that Epiphone Sheraton was my first electric guitar. Before that, I had a dodgy nylon string that my dad brought home when he worked in a music shop and magically stayed at our house for a very, very long time.
It's called teething, that is.
No, it's called working in a music shop. You should know that. You've worked in a music shop.
I never took anything home from a music shop, did I?
Really?
Mike Aiton, happy days, 1981 for me. Awesome. Hollywood actress bought the Sun guitar new for 90 quid.
90 quid.
Bargain.
We were just saying earlier, my first guitar, I'd gone into Stage 1 Music in Colchester, and I had £279, and I was going to buy an Aria Pro 2, which was basically the Aria equivalent of a 335. And in the music shop, this is how much I detest horrendous music shop practices. I was playing it and I broke the E string. I broke the string. And they weren't going to replace the string if I bought the guitar. And and my parents come with me because, it was a lot of dough to be passing off for a guitar. My parents were so utterly appalled by this, we left. We then went to Axe Music a bit further up the street in Colchester, and my stepdad lent me the extra money to buy the £349 Epiphone Sheraton.
Which a lot of money in those days.
Was a lot of money 30 years ago.
It was. You could buy 30 years ago. You could buy an American Strat for about 500 quid.
Yeah, but I didn't have 500. As it turned out, I didn't actually have 349. But because of my jazz roots and my love of all things jazz, that's why I wanted 335.
Please never ever again come round to my house and play jazz chords like you did.
So that's called jealousy, mate. That's not cool.
There's nothing about jealousy. There's no jealousy there. I've got no, please, never.
Your guitar so enjoyed playing something other than power chords.
Oof, power chords. That rarely happens. Anyway, Bruce Brooks says, I love my Epi Rivera 12-string, but it's a 45-year-old made in USA Gibson. Oh, nice.
Very nice.
Really nice. Peter says, I have the modern classic Epi Les Paul. Toggle switch plays up. It's common fault with Epiphones. Yeah, that's true. It is. The electronics are normally the first things. Cheaper switches.
The toggle's been changed on that.
How's it?
Yeah. The toggle's
funny,
been changed on that. Yeah.
It is funny. I mean, but the difference between, say, like that Epiphone 335, which was, I mean, it was 350 quid second hand, but new, I think they're about £5, something like that.
Yeah.
That and a $4,500 custom shop. It didn't make any
should
sense.
have been more than it was, shouldn't it? Should have been more difference than it was.
Yes, should have been way more difference. Jeff Rock says, my first guitar is in my profile picture. Late 70s Columbus Les Paul copy. Nice. Made in Japan. Goto pickups. Never let me down. Nice one.
Yeah, great guitars.
Ivan, that's another new name.
Yeah. I have an idea.
Nice. Super curious about your thoughts on that head rush, James. You seem very excited about it. I'm very curious.
I love it. I absolutely love it. For 450 quid or whatever they are, I think they're a bit cheaper than that now. It's basically my favorite guitar processor ever, the 11 rack, brought up to date with a pedal and some switching on it. Yeah. I wish they did an editor for it so I could plug it in and actually tweak it and save it rather than having to do it all on the screen, because the touch screen is a bit tiny. That said, I don't see why they shouldn't be able to do it, because there is an editor for the 11 rack. It shouldn't be that difficult to port it across. But I think it's great. I think it's really awesome. I genuinely, for me, it is a better processor for me than the Quad Cortex. The Quad Cortex was way too complicated for me.
Just so you know, just before I came on, I was looking at Reverb like I do. And there's an Axe FX 3 on there, secondhand for £2,000.
Maybe after the weekend. Maybe after the weekend. Might
not be there after the weekend, but yes.
It's a piece of electronics. It will show up again. One of those will show up again.
Yeah, but
also,
I think it's over £1,000 off.
But on Reverb, where is it?
Oh no, it's in the UK.
Okay, maybe. Okay, maybe send me a link and I might hit the guy up. Yeah, maybe. Okay. That for me, everyone I speak to who is a fractal head says nothing comes close.
Yeah, but this is a thing about people, and I don't know if you read the comments. People tend to like what they've got.
Yeah, I try not to read comments because, yeah. Anyway,
yeah. I had this guy that was going on about the saying how many wrong comments we made on the Johnson.
Oh really? Oh
yeah.
So
wrong again, and he was just like, oh, it's just.
Having had one for a million years, I was wrong. Okay, fair enough.
No. You are wrong about a couple of things. There is an editor. You said there's not an editor. There is an editor.
Oh well.
Anyway,
I guarantee it hasn't been updated for recent operating systems.
Probably not. No, probably
there you
not.
Go. So there isn't an editor then that works. So
Hollywood actress, awesome. Japanese guitars are always top quality. I find. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, we've got something to show later on about Japanese. There's a couple of Japanese guitars I'm showing you in the news. Yeah. Mike Ayton says, my friend at boarding school had a Columbus Les Paul. His was unfortunately horrible. Yeah, I think some do. I think that's the thing. I think the you don't know from guitar to guitar whether they're going to be great. But then, even so, I think that's the standard with Gibson. Gibson is classic at like one guitar is amazing, the next three aren't. The next one's fantastic, and
that's because the three guys who are working on those guitars at the time, you know, they're knocking out whatever they're doing, whatever was on the line at the time. One of them might be really good, and the other three might be fairly average. So 1 in 3 guitars.
I think it's more than that. I think it comes down to. I mean, and I'm not going to get into the wood debate.
Please don't.
Yeah, no. I think it's more than that. I think it's you know, to put like a bit of an airy fairy thing on it. There is a neck and a body that was meant to be together.
Yeah,
it's like that, and you know, maybe there's a great neck and a great body, but you put them together and they're not. But you'd put them on a different guitar and they would be. I don't know. Larry's in late to the party evening.
It's all right. It's allowed. There's no charges for being late. Don't worry.
Unbelievable. Jeff Rock question: do you want to sell the Hofner for £5? Tempted. It's a bit of a loss. I've got to be honest. Happy me. My first guitar was a Hofner Super Solid. It liked like a Strat, and my mum bought it for me for £6. £6. I think that's basically what I'm going to be selling this for. By the way, cheers, mate. You're the man.
Like that.
Thank you. Ginger Lefty Guitar says, I need a Mercury edition in my life. They're really good. They are very good. Very good. Try out the Iridium as well. Don't think they're just for metalers.
This is a new name. I like the name as well.
Piano Cube Guy. Thoughts on the 8515S pickups in the Prs Ses, if you've tried them. I'm still trying to figure out how to dial them in. Still never can find the perfect sweet spot. Interesting. I've only tried the LTs, the 8515 LTs. Haven't tried the 8515s. 15S.
Yeah, I mean, I've played some of the Prs Se guitars, and do you know what? They are really, really playable.
I've played some and thought they were brilliant, and I played some and I thought they were absolute dogs. The same thing. It's the same. It is that, you know, you get a guitar out of the factory in Maryland, a PRS USA built one, and their attention to detail is
off the chart.
Off the charts.
Yeah.
Danny T. Paul, I'm with you on being a converted guitar snob. I recently picked up a Schecter C1, Elite, dirt cheap.
Nice.
Sounds and plays great. Would never have thought. Excellent. Nice one. I think the thing is as well. Oh, David. Glass of leaf from Blug.
No, sorry, we've only got Blue Nun.
We've only got Blue Nun. Oh, yeah, that's still German though, isn't it?
Yeah, Blue Nun or Black Tower.
Black Tower, yeah. Oh, nasty. Yeah, maybe that's what we should do. We should insult the Germans for their wine. Hey, it's true though. You know, German wine's becoming fashionable again, isn't it?
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Anyway.
Liebfrau Bilge. I remember used to call it Liebfrau Bilge.
Liebfrau Bilge, yeah. Oh, got some shocking. I think it's normally what you start drinking, like when you're an English English teenager.
No, it's if you're a girl, it's Lambrini.
Lambrini. Oh,
Which is
I feel sick even thinking about it. I think because I've been sick so many times as a teenager.
A youth.
Yeah.
A youth.
David Mano says, ideally, I like going for a brand name, but yet my first and most enjoyable guitar is a Godin. I still think that's a brand name.
That's a brand name, yeah.
LGX SA, sort of their top line, but used it was a bargain. I thought it at first, but man, it's a great guitar. The thing is about those Godins, they're really good.
They are lovely guitars.
Because they're not really considered to be I want to use the right word, a cool guitar. I think they are considered to be really
very
really
playable,
good.
Not cool.
But yeah, it's not a cool brand, I don't think. So they tend to, on the second-hand market still, and they're great. I used to have a Godin nylon, one of those solid body nylon with the MIDI pickup. Brilliant guitar.
Yeah.
Really well built. Michaeli says, "Hey guys, what do you think about Dolby Atmos? Do you think it will be mandatory for every pro studio?" James and myself have different opinions on this.
Yeah. I think anybody not seriously thinking about Dolby Atmos in the next 5 to 10 years is going to miss the party. To the point where I am going to be putting a Dolby Atmos rig in my new room, or at least to start with, I'll be putting the provision for a Dolby Atmos rig in the new room. It is a lot of dough to do it properly, but and I'm not talking about doing a Dolby certified room. That is a whole nother ball game of pain that I can't afford. But I think having some form of Dolby Atmos will be an essential in the next 5 to 10 years, if not before.
I think it's a waste of money. I think, and I'm not sure, and I'm not saying this is definitely going to happen, but 5.1, it just
there's a difference. There is a difference, and I'll tell you for why. And this is my argument. The thing about Atmos over 5.1, 7.1, quad. Here we go.
Right. Yeah.
The reason is because it's not dependent on everyone having the same listening experience.
Right.
Atmos is customizable to your environment, and the encoding and decoding is done at the location where you are, not by someone in a studio 15 million miles away with an infinite budget to spend on speakers and acoustics. That's what's different. Whereas all the formats that have gone before, DTS and all these 5.1 and 7.1 formats have all been reliant on you having a reproduction of the space where the mix took place. Now that's not the case with Atmos. I still
don't look. How many of your friends at the moment, when you go into their house, have got any sort of Atmos capable systems?
No one.
Yeah, that is the thing. It's been around. It's been around for years, and it's cheap. It's cheap to do. In a basic way.
Mm-hmm.
Still, no one has taken it on. The only people that are doing it at the moment are audiophiles, and that bothers me.
I think that's why I said in the next 5 to 10 years. I think it will. Now you can get a Dolby Atmos sound bar, which effectively fires the audio from the bar up to the ceiling and bounces it off the ceiling to give you the illusion of height. That I think is cool, and that I think is where the consumer space will be. I don't think everyone is going to start putting 25 speakers in their living room or in their spaces, but I think that technology is going to, and bear in mind, Atmos does fold down to binaural, as in headphones.
Sure.
I think, if you want to carry on doing it at a high level, I think ignore Atmos at your peril. Whether it becomes something you invest in seriously or something you dabble with, I think everyone will at some point in the next 10 years moving forward have to have some kind of.
I think it's good. I think it's good now. I think a lot of people, a lot of studios who have got Atmos are getting work out of it.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't. It was the same thing with mixers who could do 5.1 back in the day. I don't know. Anyway, jury's out. This is a guitar show.
Yeah, all right, fair enough.
Paul Taylor, I've owned and played many guitars over the years. Picked up a Gordon Smith GS1, single P90, single cut in C. Nice. Blown away. Can't put it down. Any experience, lads? Is it snob worthy? Do you know what? I contacted Gordon Smith. Nothing. I said, look, we'd love to review some of your guitars on the channel. You think like sometimes and I think this is a problem with Gordon Smith, and the reason why it's not considered a player, they're not considered, players, is because they don't get involved with social media.
The YouTube generation.
Exactly. And they need to do that. They make some fantastic guitars.
Yeah.
But, to not even reply, I think is rude. I'm trying to do him a favor. I'm not even phoning him up saying, look, you can pay me to do a review. I was completely happy to do a review.
Yeah, I think... No, I'm not going to go down that road because it will stir up too much emotion, and I'm not up for that just now.
I'm already emotional. I've got a 600 quid bill.
Emotional, more like.
Mike Aiton says, ooh, Atmos not happening here. I could only just afford a Trinov and PSI monitors in 5.1.
PSI 5.1 PSIs though, yummy.
Nice, yeah, nice. Very nice. K Michael P, howdy y'all. I'm late now, but I'm here. You're welcome, mate. Well done for turning up. Bruce says, I think you guys think about your Johnson too much. It's true. I do, actually.
Moving on.
Anyway, the Prs Sc Pickups are really dark. Change the pots to the same as the core line and the guitar woke up. Night and day difference. That's really interesting.
Because they're one of those things that people don't take that seriously. Pots are potential. Pot stands for potentiometer, which is not the same as a variable resistor. It's the way it...
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's not the same.
Oh.
No, not the same. It's... oh, God, hang on now. This could hurt. It's not the same. I want to get into something clever, but it's not the same. So, yeah, actually changing the pots could make a massive difference.
I guess there's different resistance, like 500k pots and 250k pots and all that sort of stuff.
And log and linear pots as well.
Of course. Yeah. I do think a lot of PRS pickups are quite dark. I think they open up when you play them loud, when you play the guitar loud.
Yeah.
Live. Thunderbird one. Oh, Thunderbird. Do you remember Thunderbird in 2020?
I was going to say MD20, Mad Dog 2020. Oh, got revolting stuff.
Oh, I'd feel sick again. Karina Silka Guitar says, hi everybody, long time no see. Just got the HX Stomp XL. Oh, nice. I'm happy camper. Nice one, mate. Hey, I tell you what, you should do some videos on that, Karina, because Karina's got a YouTube channel. Because I think HX Stomp videos do quite well.
Yeah. At this point.
Paul, thank you very much. Oh, what a nice day. We got hold on. Bought a Black Star Silverline 100 watt. Oh, nice. Deluxe digital head. Have you played once? It sounds dark through my 2x12 with one Eminence Governor and a China GBK. Was it China GBK?
No idea. Sound dark now, but is dark bad? I think dark is quite good for some guitars. I think dark sounding guitars, and that's not to say dark is mellow, but I think there are, for a rhythm guitar part, you want quite a dark guitar to sit quite well spaced. You might want something a little bit more forward and cutting. I can't get that Swamp Ash Special to sit back in a mix. It always wants to be up front because it's quite a bright guitar.
Right.
Oddly, even though this thing's only got single coils, it sits.
Nice.
It's great. It's a really fun guitar to play as well. I took it to Steve and he went, I'm not touching it. It's fine. Leave it alone.
Oh, nice. That was good.
Yeah. And it mixes really nicely into tracks as rhythm parts. Get a nice jangly kind of clean on the verge of breakup jangly sound.
So hold on. Let's go back to Paul.
Yeah.
Go back to Paul. I haven't tried the Silverline. It looks cool. I should get in touch with Black Star.
Do you know what Do you know what I nearly bought the other day? And I saw it for so little money. And I remember them being quite controversial at the time. And I thought, I should get one. Do you remember the Marshall Mode 4?
Yes, of course.
I heard one play and I went, this thing's amazing. And there's something ridiculous like 350 watts.
Yeah, but you know.
It's solid state watts, not valve watts. But I remember going, yeah, Mike's right. China GBK is greenback. Mike and Paul and Larry have all come back.
Oh, greenback. Oh,
yes.
It's Chinese greenback. Of course. Yes.
Of course.
That makes sense. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for your generosity, Paul. I'll get in contact with Blackstar and see if we can do some reviews of their stuff because that's good. You know, they make good stuff.
It's good gear.
Yeah. David Bro says, my first guitar didn't have a name. It was a Japanese copy of a Telly with a giant neck. Oh, that sounds nice. I'm old enough when Gibson Marauder was $200 less than a Les Paul. Wow. Nice one. Bruce says pots can be the same as a variable resistor. Depends on the taper. A linear taper pot is basically a variable resistor, but guitar pots are generally audio taper. Interesting.
Well, there we go.
I
sit corrected.
You do.
I stand corrected. So the man in orthopedic shoes.
Very good. Paul Higgins, White Lightning Cider, just wrong. Yeah, definitely. Oh, that's but that's more tramps. That's more tramps drink.
White Lightning.
Bums to you Americans.
Amazingly, we've got through the first round of questions.
Have we?
Should we do some new toys? See what's out there in the real world.
Yeah, go on then. There's a couple of wrong ones, but there's some good stuff.
But the wrong ones make it funny.
Okay, I need to share, don't I? That's what I need to do.
Yeah.
Hold on. Share. There we go.
Say when.
It's ready.
Go on then. Here we go. Ooh.
So you know Josh Smith. I think we dissed his telly the other telly recently because it's just a bit weird. It's just a bit weird. So now he's brought out a Strat as well. If anyone doesn't know who Josh Smith is, you should do. He's an unbelievable guitar player. But the telly is just a little bit. The telly just looks like
somebody forgot.
Yeah, well, it just looks like something that was made by Epiphone in the 80s. I think it just looks a little bit wrong. There's something not quite right about it.
Someone with a bandsaw took the edge off the scratch plate.
Yeah, and yeah, I don't quite get it. And now the Strat's a bit weird too.
It looks like it looks like a Vigier. Do you remember those? It
does look like a Vigier. It does.
It's that headstock. It looks a bit super stratty and it's all a bit pointy and.
That is the Ibanez headstock. It's the sort of 80s Ibanez headstock, isn't it?
Not sure.
I don't like it.
How much?
They're not
a
cheap.
Lot.
They are not cheap. Oh, well, the telly is €2,500.
Probably about the same for the Strat. Then I would have thought.
Look how pissed off he looks. Even he's pissed off at the shape.
Would you buy a guitar from this man?
He's like, what have you done to the shape? I drew it out. I drew a telly, and you give me this.
Yeah, it's not lovely.
No, anyway, like that. So Strandberg have brought out the new Bowden. I mean, I like that.
I like that a lot.
I know you would. Yeah, I know you'd like that. Oh, hey, I tell you what, James.
What?
Oh no, I'll tell you afterwards. I'll tell you after we've done this.
Right.
Remind me to say, remind me about the Sir Pete Thorne. Okay. Yeah, nice, really nice. You know, that's nice.
I love the pinky purple one. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And apparently they play beautifully. They're beautifully balanced. They're really nice really easy to set up. Yeah, I like that. I'd kind of have to be in the right frame of mind, I think.
They do play really well. I played a couple. They just don't sound great.
Oh, really? Oh, what a shame.
It's just they just sound a little bit lifeless.
Oh, what a shame.
The ones that I've played. But I think if you're doing like a lot of sort of technical metal, a lot of high gain stuff,
yeah,
I think it's fine.
Right.
because there's not a lot of. I could really get in trouble for saying this, but there's not a lot of tonal variation in high gain metal, is there?
No, I think we're safe in saying that. I think
okay. So, but it's not. Yeah, for me, they are a bit lacking, but I think they're great looking guitars.
And well done for pushing the envelope on what a guitar can look like and what you can do, and rather than just going, I think the Strat shape in high-tech audio is a bit like an 1176. Everyone's done it, everyone's copied it, and we're kind of bored of it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. I definitely think, and I think ergonomically, it's a brilliant guitar, and the neck is really unusual. The way that it's not a rounded neck; it's almost like a squared off neck.
Yeah.
Just to make it even more ergonomic, and they are brilliantly designed. I just didn't really like the sound of them.
Have you ever played a guitar with corrected frets?
No, like a what are they called? Multi-scale.
Yeah.
No,
you think they're going to be weird.
Yeah.
But one of the guys I used to work with at Avid had one, and it was such an easy guitar to play. And everything you played, everywhere on the neck was in tune.
Excellent. Great. That's
amazing.
Really
not so great for string bending because you had to be a bit careful where you bent, because obviously the neck is some of the frets are kind of wiggly.
Well, look. I see one of those ones. One of the actual corrected with the actual broken frets. Oh yeah. More than the multi-scale. Interesting.
Not a fan fret. I've played a fan fret. I've played a fan fret bass and thought that was got on with it really quickly. Didn't struggle with it at all. I've never played a fan fret guitar because that would just be weird. But hey, these look great. I want one.
Yeah,
but not badly enough though.
Yeah, I like these.
Oh, that's interesting.
It's cool, isn't it?
It's a Fender F hole.
Yeah,
that's kind of cool.
I like it.
That's really it's like a thin line, but with an F rather than a scrolly F.
Yeah,
I like that. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, I really like that. So these are, I think it's a Japanese only release. I like that copper one. Really nice.
I like the white one. I think the white. Actually, no. I like the wooden one. That one's beautiful. I like that.
Yeah, that's nice. But how much are they? We don't know. I think they are just literally a Japanese release. So
was that 2,000 euros? Was that down a bit? Down a bit. There. Stop.
Okay.
Oh, 2,000 likes. Sorry, I was thinking.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. So it's saying hopefully some of these will escape Japan and make their way to Europe and America.
I like that.
Yeah, I like that too. Okay, let me do that. Hey, it's not guitar-y, but we do cover some studio stuff as well.
I saw this and thought, yummy, because I can't get a Fusion for love nor money.
Right.
This was two of the best bits from the Fusion. If you add this to the 500 series modules, the Ultraviolet and the EQ, that becomes a Fusion in hardware and software.
Can I ask though, is a Fusion analog or is it digital?
Analog.
It's analog. Okay. Interesting though. To you guys that don't know what this is, these are plugins of the SSL hardware unit. That's quite exciting for people like me and James.
Yeah.
Right. These and sticking on the studio thing, I think these are pretty exciting.
Control. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I've seen things like this before.
Yeah.
And I've also seen a much, much, much cheaper equivalent.
Well, how much are proper tube traps?
Extortionate. A lot, yeah.
Right. Do you know how much these are?
How much?
They're 199 euros.
Okay. Now, bear in mind, you're paying 199 euros for something that looks nice.
Yeah. Fair dues.
I could do you the same job, literally get a roll of insulation, loft insulation.
Yeah.
Put a nice fabric cover over it. It will do the same job.
Right. Okay.
Now, agreed. It's probably worth $200. to make these look nice.
Yeah.
And actually, I think they do look nice.
They do, don't they? I think they do. Yeah,
Several studios I've been to, because they've been in non-specifically designed studio spaces.
Yeah.
They've put basically towers of rock wool insulation.
Yeah.
In nice kind of fabric bags.
Yeah.
Plonked them behind the console as bass traps, and they work brilliantly well.
Yeah.
Which is basically what these are, bass traps. And I'm sure they work great.
You haven't been to Mark Mozart's studio, have you?
No, I haven't.
In Germany, I went over there once, and literally he had bags of, like, he'd just been to B&Q and just got like a massive, I mean, they must have been like a meter high, a meter square, of rock wool still in the bags, and they were just stuck everywhere, and it looked awful. But anyway,
it works.
Well, debatable, but anyway. What do you think of these?
I like the purple one, third from the left.
That's you all over. That is that sort of over the top.
Actually, I like the bass as well. The bass looks great. I don't like that one because that's the Albert Lee, isn't it?
That's the Albert Lee. I think no, that's it is the Albert Lee. Sorry, yes.
Yeah. That's the Lukather. What's that one? What is that one?
That's a Stingray Special.
That's gorgeous. I like that.
Oh no, it's not. No, that's JP15. That's the Petrucci.
Is it? Looks very pointy for a Petrucci. Okay. And the Stingray looks beautiful. I love that.
Yeah, it looks great, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Nice.
Anyway, to be honest, I'd have all of those apart from the Albert Lee. Sorry, Albert.
Oh, I like that. I like the finish.
Yeah, pretty, but I don't like the pointy.
Okay, last one. That one, isn't it?
Yeah.
You found this?
I did find this, and I thought, I like a Charvel. I've played a couple of nice Charvels, and this is definitely worth a shout because I hadn't heard of this guy, but boy, can he play. Clearly, I'm missing out because he's a YouTuber or an influencer.
Right.
But
you said it like it's a dirty word.
I do think it's a dirty word. I think that's a dirty price, personally.
That's too much. That's too much.
It's a lot of money.
That is a lot of money.
I mean, clearly, YouTubers, influencers are the new guitar heroes.
Right.
So, Paul, there's time for you yet, mate.
Awesome. Can't wait. Let me know when it happens.
I will. Don't worry.
Okay. Yeah. Too much. If it was 22 fret and it didn't have the weird cutaway, if you look at the tremolo, if you can see it, it's actually all cut out.
Ooh.
I'm not sure about that, but anyway, the guy knows what he's doing, obviously, and it's his signature guitar, and that's what he's chosen to do. But great, nice. Okay, sign me out.
You are out of there.
Okay,
let's dive back into their questions.
Oh, and then remind me to tell you about the.
Oh no, tell me first, then we'll get to questions.
Okay, yeah. Before we do that,
Sir Pete Thorne, come on, tell me.
So this is what I'm doing. I'm chopping and changing guitars all the time at the moment. I got the Pete Thorne in. Really nice guitar. I don't think it's going to be for me. It's a little bit too super stratty for me. So I'm selling that, and I had an offer in for it for a Majesty.
Oh!
I knew you'd do that. Well, actually, if you want the Majesty, you can buy the Majesty off me.
Oh,
yeah, it was a Majesty with it was a flamed top one. Oh yeah, you'd be all over it. It's like your wet dream, that is. It was really nice. It was nice, but I just couldn't see myself playing it.
I've played a Majesty and really found it very enjoyable. It's a very easy guitar to play.
Well, then if I chop in the Pete Thorne for the Majesty, you can take the Majesty.
All right. Well, how much do you want for the Majesty? That's the important question.
This is an offline chat.
Exactly. We'll not have this conversation right now.
But yeah, remind me. If you want it, we'll contact him tomorrow or something because I'm with you tomorrow. Anyway.
Yes.
Anyway. Yeah. Sorry, guys. That was a bit of a off.
So jumping back in, I think we were there.
Oh, by the way, if anyone is because Thomas is coming on in
about 10 minutes, hopefully.
About 10 minutes. If anyone's got any questions, get them ready for Thomas. So let's
actually,
get through all these questions. Let's get through the questions for when he's ready.
And yeah.
Okay, Jeff Rock says, I have a couple of Gordon Smiths from before it was sold. I went to collect from the workshop in Paddington. John Smith doing it with hand tools, Linda winding the pickups. Wow. New GS1 within about 400 quid. Bargain. Absolute bargain. They make some amazing guitars. Their new ones look so good.
Yeah, they do.
David Stockton, White Lightning drank in the park, caused many teenage pregnancies.
Which park was that? Not that I want to know.
That's tramps. That's proper tramps drink. Anyway, Mike Aiton, Josh Smith Telly looks like looks melted like the guitar on the Clapton 80s. Yes, it does.
Yeah.
It's a weird. It's such a strange shape. But oh my god, can he play? Yes. Unbelievable guitar player. A double header with him and Greg Koch would be an earful. I mean, that's the thing. Greg Koch designed that telly over there. That is a great design telly. It looks great. The only thing I don't like about it, I don't like that pickup surround around the top, the neck pickup.
No, it looks cheap.
Great design guitar.
Yeah.
Anyway, Karina says the Strat is not in production. It's just a one-off for him. Ah, interesting.
That's cool. I like that. He's welcome to it.
Yeah, because we don't want it. He also got a Les Paul style to feed his Les Paul needs. The CBM 100. You'll like that. Oh, interesting. Yeah, that probably look a bit odd as well. David Stockton, Strandbergs play great. I just can't see the justification for the huge price for a Chinese-made guitar. Oof. No doubt made in the same factory as many other way cheaper guitars. Yes, but I think there's quite a lot that goes into them, into the actual construction of the necks and stuff. I think they're about 8-piece neck. But anyway, yes, you're right. Far too much money for what they are. Bruce says, got my Spark 40 last week. The thing I like about it the most is that I can just grab the Spark guitar and go into any room in my house and just jam out. Sounds great for what it is. Yes, absolutely.
And the more I speak to people, the more people who've changed the two main woofer drivers for something much, much better. And the bass response is much improved. So I'm thinking I might do that with mine because I can.
Nice.
And actually, the thing I use it for the most is for a portable speaker.
Keep the bass in.
Yeah.
Hollywood actress, Josh Smith, great player. But for me, I'm not keen on the new AZS. I think it's the control layout shape. Yeah. I like the idea of the telly switch because of my pink telly. Wrong one, that way. It's far too close to the volume knob. It's quite hard to switch. A telly's not that well designed, but so he's put the curve in there to make it a bit easier. But anyway,
it looks weird.
Amazing player. Yeah, Josh Smith looks like melted. People aren't fans. Hollywood actress, why in this global age that Fender still do a Japan only release? I understand they tailor for each market, but with the internet and social media, there's not a single market anymore. What do you think? I completely agree.
Totally agree. What's the point? It's like when car companies only release in certain countries in the world. You're like, what?
Yeah, it's not hard now. You're right. It's a funny thing, and I think they would do really well in the West. Happy me. All of the guitars I have, my two PRSs are superb. One is a high-end custom 24, signed by PRS, and the hollow body special, which I bought in 2019. The PRS recently re-released for megabucks. Yeah, they did. Nice guitar. Majesty. Okay. Sorry, a Majesty is a Ernie Ball guitar made for John Petrucci. It's his top end. So he's done two guitars, a JP, which
is the one that looks like a Super Strat.
Super Strat, and the Majesty is a
Hyper Strat.
It
looks like it's got a carbon fiber top, and it's very kind of.
This one doesn't look like it's got the carbon fiber.
No?
This one's all wood. No, it's
right,
I
nice.
prefer this one. But anyway.
Okay, maybe. Oh God, it's getting dangerous.
Yeah. Lee Abraham says, got a player plus telly. Absolutely love it. Nice. Very nice.
New name in the house.
Ah, Bimerton. Hi. Hello, mate. How you doing? Nice to have you on board. Mike Aiton says, I want to hear about Thomas Blug's new amp thing. That's definitely one of the big things we want to ask him about. Just switched from Thomas's channel. Oh, great, mate. Nice to have you.
He's obviously plugging the fact that he's about to join us, which is hilarious.
Yes.
Yeah.
Are you keeping an eye on the? Yeah, great. Okay.
Yeah, I can see it. Don't worry.
The guys will switch over soon. Oh, fantastic!
That's hilarious.
Thanks for letting us know. Cheers, mate.
That's hilarious.
Bruce says, "Have you seen the new Emerald Virtuo guitar? My buddy got to play one and said it was absolutely amazing. Let's have a look. Emerald Virtuo. I'll have a quick look. Let's have a look. Oh, yeah. We covered these last week.
You gonna share, or do we need to? Yeah, here we go. Yes, I look. They were very lovely.
Yeah, can you imagine doing a gig with one?
No.
No.
Could you imagine gigging with a Parker Fly though? I mean, plenty of people did.
I think I prefer to gig with a Parker Fly than actually. Would I? Parker Fly. What a great guitar that was.
Yeah, just looked weird as hell.
Yeah, sounded and played so good though.
Right, we're back.
Can't imagine. Okay. I can't imagine gigging with that. Cool though. Mr. Larry North says, Q for Mr. B. Does he still rate his vintage S type, or has he gone cold on it after the affiliation expired?
This is for.
Don't forget. Yeah, don't forget that when he comes on.
Yes, I'll let me just write that down. Larry North. Q. I'll find that.
Okay.
Right.
David Olson, forgive me if the answer is obvious, but what does a bass trap achieve? Bass traps basically, they're standing waves in your room. When you have speakers, think of your room as a mirror.
Yeah.
So your speaker is firing audio, and then it's bouncing off the walls. The bass trap just absorbs the bottom end because there's standing waves that happen in the corner. If you put on your speakers, if you have speakers in a room, go and stand in a corner and hear how much more bass there is in the corner, because that's where the bass collects, and that just basically sucks in the bass and makes it sound.
It's made of an absorptive material, or absorbent material for sound, and the bass gets trapped in the corners. Hence, you have a bass trap, and the trap stops the bass bouncing around and coming straight back out of the room, basically. So you stop having the bass build up. It stops you having that big problem. You know, the phenomenon of the producer's sofa. The further back you get in the room, the more bass you get, the more the producer goes, "Oh, this is slamming." Whereas at the front, in the sweet spot, you're going, "Can't feel much bass here," but you're getting the true, and he's getting the enhanced. It stops some of that phenomenon.
Johnny Chimpo 577. Have either of you tried the Marshall Origin amps? Curious what you think compared to the studio vintage or old school Marshalls. Do you know, I should get one actually. I'll get in contact with them next this week.
Yeah.
And see if we can get an Origin in, because it would be good to do.
Maybe they'll have some of those.
Yes. Mike says, would you like to hear about a Spark mod? Yes, we would.
No, I said I would like to hear about Spark mod.
I would like to. Yes. Okay.
Mike,
sorry.
I'll do it and see what I can come up with.
Nice. Hi from Stuttgart, Germany. Thomas sent me. Yeah, good to have you, mate. Good to have you.
He'll be with us shortly. As soon as he appears, we'll get him in and stuff.
Welcome to all the Blugers.
Yes, it looks like everyone's joining us, which is great. Great for our numbers.
David Brose, I'm looking for a new amp for October. Do I need the new Blue? Never heard anything like it before, but I am truly interested. Listen to Marcus King band. He's the truth. Yeah, Marcus King, awesome. Yeah, so the Blue guitars, the Blue guitar amps are fantastic.
You've tried most of them, haven't you?
Yeah, I've tried all of them.
Right.
Yeah, I've tried all of them. Although he's bringing out the Amp X, which isn't out yet. I haven't tried that, obviously, because it's not out. And that's coming out. I think it keeps getting pushed back, and we'll ask about that.
Yeah.
But well worth checking out. Jason Carter says, I'm an expat Brit living in Germany. Nice to be here. Oh, nice one, mate.
Nice to have you. And for now, the last one of our session thus far.
Mike Aiton says, have you come across the new app thing that is a band in a box type thing that plays along with you?
Well, I've heard of band in a box, and I've watched demos and gone, great idea. Didn't really ever float my boat, but I've seen people demo it and been very impressed. I've tried to do it myself. It's a classic case of something, if you know how to demo it and you know how to get the best out of it, it's very impressive. As soon as you start wanting it to work how you want to work, you go, oh, it's quite limiting.
Yeah. Well, there's sort of that in the Spark.
Yes.
Where you can play a couple of chords, and then when I had a Spark, I did try it out, and it never really worked. It just always started playing some weird chords that I didn't play. Hi, John. How you doing?
Hang on.
Mike Aiton says it gets strapped onto your guitar, and it's been touted on Facebook.
Ooh.
Interesting.
Plays along with you. The only thing I've got that gets strapped onto a guitar is the Fluid Audio Guitar Buddy thing.
Does it sound any good? Does that sound good?
Honestly,
yeah.
No.
God, I'm glad we didn't review that.
But you know, it depends what you're comparing it to. If you're comparing it to listening to an electric guitar acoustically,
yes,
it definitely sounds better. Because
right.
you know, you've got some sound and some effects and some noises and stuff. Does it compare to a Marshall or a? Of course not. How can it?
Yeah,
it's one of those things. I like the idea of stuff like that because it, you know, anything that makes you play more and makes you practice and keeps your neighbours and your parents happy is definitely a worthwhile investment.
Yeah.
Yes, like the Wazzers. Imagine they're basically, that thing is
so good.
The Strum Buddy is very, very far down the same track as the Wazzer headphones. It's designed to do the same thing. It's designed to be a practice tool that gives you some kind of sound. The Wazzers are right up the top end of that track, but it is the same track. You know, it's the same. A kid who's practicing in his bedroom is not going to go out and buy a set of Wazzers. Whereas, I know, I can't help it. Whereas a kid might spend 50 quid at a music show on a Strum Buddy to make some noise in his bedroom that he can also plug his headphones into.
Right. Awesome.
I can't.
Ryan 13, any experience with the Bugera PS1 powers? Do you know what? I wouldn't. Bloody hell. Okay, what are the differences between resistive load boxes and reactive load boxes? That's a really good question. So, I tell you what, Thomas Blug will be able to answer this.
Yes, he would.
So reactive load work like a speaker. So I'm guessing the impedance is changing all the time. A resistive load, I think, is a fixed impedance. Ask Thomas. I think he's that sort of electronics guitar genius that will be able to answer that much better than me. Right.
But at this point, though, I'm going to say one thing: don't waste your money on Bugera.
Do not plug an expensive amp into a Bugera Power Soak. I didn't even know they made one, but please don't do it.
Well, can I tell the story?
Yeah.
I'm going to tell the story. So on the live stream for the last few weeks, various people have been saying, check out the Bugera Infinium series. And I think I might have even said out loud, do you know what? I'm going to buy one. And I put my metaphorical and indeed physical money where my mouth is. And I bought one. And I took it over to Paul's and we plugged it in. And it sounded broken. It actually sounded broken.
Sounded good and just very quickly went.
Yeah, we went. And then we cranked the 50-watt amp all the way up to...
No, this was the start. This was the start.
Yeah. Then we cranked it up and we
it's a 50-watt. It's a 50-watt amp, and it was so much quieter than the 20-watt Marshall Studio Series.
Yeah.
It's not 50 watts. I don't know how they're measuring that.
So we said, hang on, let's give them the benefit of the doubt here. I think it's broken. I actually do think it's broken. The valves were glowing like a glowing thing. Sorry, my humor on this thing is totally out the window. So we phoned the shop and said, they said, "Do you want us to send you another one?" And I was like, "Yeah, go on. Let's see if it's actually knackered or if it's the just that unit." So they've sent me another one, and I still have the broken one. So what we're going to do is I will bring them both over to Paul's, and we'll do a comparison. That way we can know if we've got a broken one or if we've got
if that's what they do,
or if that's what they're supposed to do.
It didn't feel right. There was something even when it was working, and again, this could have been because it was breaking. There was something not right.
Yeah,
not
so
right. It didn't react well with guitars. It just.
I'll come over next week with them both,
Great.
and we'll have a see if we can break some more stuff. We also broke my talk box as well.
Gutted about that because it was so good. Like James brought his talk box. We were going to do we're going to have loads of Bon Jovi fun
and Pink Floyd fun
and on a video, and then we're about to start doing the video, and it went.
And I think I popped the speaker in it. So
good though. It sounded great though, didn't it?
I'm going to buy another one because they're 170 quid, and I can at least get them in the UK now, and it's going to cost me more than that to repair it. So I'll buy another one because I can. I'm that kind of crazy, and it sounded great. So let's carry on, get through these questions and stuff before Thomas.
Lee Abraham says, thinking of getting the Boss Pocket GT for those late night practice sessions. Can use it as an interface, I believe too. Really good little thing. Sounds great. Got one up there. Really good. Cool. John Waller says, an old man like me will never go out to buy a Wazza. It's good. They are really good. Honestly, the Wazza stuff's really good. Bemi Ton says, at Ryan 13, Thomas will tell you that is nothing. That there is nothing as a real speaker. Yeah,
nothing as good as a real speaker. Yeah,
definitely. Rafael Jesus says, so you had a 40 unit. What's that representative of? What's it represent? It's look, when you go and buy an amplifier from Marshall, it goes through many layers of QC. Okay, that is the difference.
Quality control.
Because it doesn't go out the factory unless it's been checked, and checked again. That unit, that is shocking. That should never have left the factory.
No. Now, we also accept that some things break in shipping, in delivery. Sure. This thing's come from the Far East. It's been in a container. It's been moved about a bit, which is why instantly, we said, let's not do the review because that's not fair. If the unit is genuinely knackered, we'll both come on here and we'll both say great things about it next week. But the fact that it turned up and it was absolutely knackered, don't get me wrong, if it is a pile of, we'll tell you. Oh, because I've spent my money on this, and I will be getting my money back on it if it's rubbish. If it's a usable amp as a reasonable pedal platform, I'll keep it. Because for 300 quid, what's not to lose?
The thing is, Raphael, is we don't want to moan about a unit. If something's great, that's all I want to review. I don't want to review things that are crap.
Because there's no point.
And we try not to. James and I could have done a video on it, but we didn't. We decided not to. We decided to give them we decided to give them another chance. But and I'm imagining you're a Bagheera user and you probably had a good experience from it. But personally, that's it for me. I wouldn't buy one. I'm not going to go and buy one because if I take it out live, I can't be guaranteed it's going to work.
Totally.
Johnny Chimpo 577. Damn, I'm in the market and was eyeing up the $100 Bagheera over the 500. Please spend the money. It is. If you're going to be plugging an expensive amplifier into a load box, you want that thing to be working properly.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and honestly, so I had a I had a
I know what you're talking about now.
Okay. I had a Dr. Z Maz 32 amplifier, great sounding amp, but plugged it into a load box, blew it up, kept blowing it up. So please make sure that you've got, you buy like a decent power soak.
Defo.
It's not worth it. Bruce Brooks, a resistive load is fixed, but a reactive load will change with the voltage or volume as much as a speaker making it will. There you go. Any thoughts on, Raphael says, any thoughts on the Laney Lionheart, now made in the UK? Oh, awesome.
That is a great amplifier. It's
quite metal, isn't it? It's quite metal.
It's the Tony Iommi signature.
Oh no, it isn't what I was thinking. I was thinking the LTX or whatever it's called.
No, that is a great amplifier.
Nice.
I recorded a guy with one of those, and we put a tube screamer in front of it to give it some extra. It took two of us to lift the thing. If it's the one I'm thinking of, there's more glass in there than there is in Canary Wharf. I was very impressed. Great noise and a really well built, solid thing. Two proper metal, what I'm going to call flight case handles built into the top to lift the thing.
Nice.
Built for the road.
That's another company we need to get hold of. I think we need to.
Laney, yeah. A very underloved English amp brand, Laney.
I think because Marshall was the cool brand, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Marshall was the cool brand, and Laney was always its poor brother, but great amps, yeah. John Wallace says, to clarify, I love my Wazza headphones, and I agree they're a great practice device. Plus, it's perfect for vacationing with a headless guitar. Absolutely. Jeff Rock, I can recommend the Audio Storm Attenuators. Haven't heard of them. Nice. Fantastic. Stephen James, Paul, the Marshall SV28, which is the studio vintage, the little mini plexi, is finally in stock here. But I now have the blue guitar. I'm worried that everyone's saying it needs to be played loud to get the full true sound. But I know my gigs, I won't be able to do that. I just want a true plexi sound. Should I stick with blue guitar? Without a doubt, stick with, if you can't turn it up, stick with the blue guitar amp one. It's far more versatile. If I had to sell one guitar, if I had to sell one amp, if I had to sell the amp one or my studio vintage, I'd sell the studio vintage.
Ooh, you heard it here first.
Paul Taylor, I borrowed a Bulgara Power Soak last year. It made the amp sound like a blanket on it. You could fry an egg on it after 20 minutes. There you go. Thanks, Paul. It worries me. It worries me that companies like this, as opposed to making great products for, that can last and aren't going to wreck your guitar, aren't going to wreck your amp, that they're making these cheap things they're just trying to knock out. And it just worries me that, anyway, the Bulgara PS1 gets incredible ratings. And I've read it was originally designed by Mike Soldano. However, you guys have scared me away.
The only thing I'd say about when someone says, oh, it's designed by, that means he designed the circuit. He probably didn't do the industrial design that went into the manufacturing process. And knowing that Bulgara is a Behringer brand and knowing what happens in their processes to minimize cost, I would steer well clear. Don't get me wrong. I bought this thing and I want to love it. I want it to sound great. And it did sound on the clean channel very good to start with. And then it started to break up. Bear in mind, this is a £300 all valve amp. Now I have heard a few things since that I won't go into now because they are very much speculative and circumspect, but
okay, and I said this on the day. You got 300 quid. You got 300 quid, and you got the choice between a Boss Katana or that Bulgara amp. What would you buy?
Katana every day of the week.
Exactly. Yes, he designed the circuit. Interesting. It just makes me worry on a company that doesn't really seem to have its customers' interests at heart. I'm trying to say that in the nicest possible way.
Yeah, move on.
Please don't. Just if you're going to buy something, if you've got an expensive amplifier, you know, get
I call it the 20% rule. If you've got
more than the 20% rule, though.
No, but I call this the 20% rule with
Okay.
things like microphones and guitars. If you've got a guitar that's worth £2,000 and you're gigging it a lot, buy a case for it, which is up to 20% of its value.
Yeah.
Buy a stand, maybe not a stand at the 20% rule, but, you know, buy a decent quality stand. Don't go and buy, and I have nothing against Stag products, but don't put your £2,000 guitar on a £5 Stag stand. Like, same with microphone stands. Don't put a £2,000 microphone on a stand that costs 15 quid. Buy a decent mic stand that costs 500 quid. Yes, it's an obscene amount for a microphone stand, but that microphone stand would take a bull running into it to knock it over. Those Latch Lake stands I've got weigh an absolute metric ton, but I have absolutely no fear about putting a 7, 8, 10, 12,000 pound microphone on them. No fear whatsoever. If you're plugging your £2,000 beautiful custom head into something that's £100, that the maths doesn't work. The balance doesn't work. In computer terms, if you were putting a computer with a super fast processor and you were putting 4 gig of RAM in it, it doesn't balance. There's balance in all things. Balance in guitar amps to cabinets to.
But it's
and bear in
more
mind,
than that.
it's the weak link in the chain. It's
Yeah.
You're only going to sound as good as the weakest link in the chain, I think, is where I'm going to.
Okay. Next question then.
Hang on. What did I have? I went on to fry an egg on it. Marshall. He designed the okay, this one. Here we go.
Odds UK says, if you were going to rock up to a pub gig with a loud rock drummer, Deep Purple, Zeppelin, AC/DC, ZZ Top, 4x12 cab, no amp micing, SV28 or Amp 1. Honestly, I think the Amp 1 is just. I think the Amp 1.
With a cardboard box that was cut out and had the sticker of a Marshall JCM 800 on the front.
Yeah.
So that way it looks the part and also sounds the part.
But look, I'll show you. Look, I haven't done a video on this yet. Oh, okay. So the thing about the Amp 1 is you can buy all the bits for it. So you can get the remote one. Mm-hmm. The remote one then has this little breakout box called the
breakout one.
No, can't remember. Thomas tells us in a minute. Which basically you can then program this to. It's a switching system for your pedals. So your pedals are always on, and then you can have presets. So your pedals going on and off. It just makes it really simple. You know, the Blue Guitar Amp one, it's got reverb built in. And I know it's like people don't use reverb.
It's like someone really smart has designed it and thought about it.
Yes. But it's just I think it's a great portable solution. Well, how about the Eminence? K-Mock says, well, how about the Eminence FMD speakers with built-in attenuation? Oh, I haven't seen them.
Nor have I. Sounds cool, though. I like the idea of that.
Nice. We'll check them out. Thanks, mate. Raphael Jesus says, yes, that comparison, Bugbear versus Katana makes perfect sense. There are also used Black Stars. Yeah. Mm. Yeah, definitely. Bemi Ton says, I had one Bulgara amp on my workbench out of order, but it only blew some penny price resistors or diodes because the owner used it without a speaker. A Fender would have blown the output trip. That's true. Yeah. But I second buy a Blue Guitar Amp one. Most versatile and great sounding. Victory actually recommends a Jet. Oh, really? That's interesting. Jettenuator in their amp manuals, but it looks like they don't make them anymore.
Yeah, because Jet City, I don't think exists anymore, do they?
No, well, that was Mike Soldano's company, wasn't it? I think.
Yeah. Those amps, I remember seeing them at a guitar show and thinking these look great, and then someone said it's cheap Soldano, and I was like, is there such a thing as cheap Soldano?
Well, it's Soldano circuitry, probably made in the Far East. Probably the Jet Attenuator is probably the Blue. Is probably the Bulgara.
Yeah.
If that's been Mike's, if that was Soldano designed,
Yeah.
And you can use a Blug without a load too. That's true.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's honestly, when I got the Blue Guitar Amp one, I wasn't expecting much to when I got it in for review, and I was just like, oh my god, this thing's brilliant.
Genuine. I'm pretty sure I first met Thomas at the Music Messe in Germany,
Right?
and I remember him noodling for a few days on this thing, and me going, "My God, that's loud!" into a 1x12, and I said, "Where's the amp?" He said, "That's the amp. You know, the pedal, the foot switch is the amp." And I was like, "That's cool."
It's really impressive.
And this was years ago.
Yeah. Cosmic Ned says, I've had great results using the Torpedo X. Brilliant. Reactive load to silent record with valve amps. My only criticism is that it only has 3 levels of attenuation. Have you tried one? Thoughts? No, we really need to. Actually, I did say to James, can you get hold of Jeremy Jezza from 2 Notes to get us one?
I'll pester him again because I haven't spoken to him in a while, and I'll shout him and stuff.
Yeah, no, I've got the Torpedo Studio, which is their top end one that James actually
you have, yeah.
And yeah, I use it for everything. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
Jason Carter, if you want a low cost tube amp, look no further than the Harley Benton Tube 15 spring reverb attenuator down to 1 watt celestial 12-inch speaker. Great little amp for £200. Brilliant.
And the fact, and there's another snob factor name, Harley Benton. You didn't touch with a barge pole, and then all of a sudden, out they come like the phoenix from the flames, and they're doing some good stuff now.
Yeah, quality stuff. Dave Barlow guitars. Oh, Dave Barlow, yes. Actually, Dave Barlow used to work, I don't know if he still does, down at Surrey Amps, which is my local amp repair place.
Very handy.
Bill Rand, Sonic Stomp, really? Sonic Stomp, really?
Not sure.
I don't remember talking about Sonic Stomp.
No, me neither.
Jeff Rock, he runs a Line 6 M5 with the Blue switcher and MIDI. Nice.
Very cool.
That's a question I've got for Thomas, actually.
Mm-hmm. It turns out that Ryan 13 has confirmed that the Bulgara PS1 and the Attenuator are exactly the same unit.
There we go. Well, look, if Victory recommend it,
yeah,
it might be worth looking at.
As long as they are exactly the same unit. They might have been cannibalized. That's a nice way of putting it, isn't it?
Yeah. If you want a good load, check out the Torpedo Captor X. Absolutely. The 2-note stuff, fantastic. I heard Bulgara is a great mod platform for experimenting with Marshall circuits. Though I suspect by the time you swap out the crap parts, it's triggers broom.
Triggers broom.
Yeah,
I love that. Triggers broom. I love the way that's become.
Yeah,
an actual term.
It's the same. I love that. That was such a great sketch. Jeff Rock, Ryan 13. Yes, they look very similar, though. Thought that might be the case. Interesting. Raphael Jesus says you guys should get in touch with Smooth Hand Audio. Oh, don't know them. That makes a wireless system. He has created a multi-effects unit similar to the Helix here in the UK. Oh, nice.
Are you write this down, or am I?
When you write that one down.
Criminal.
Cheers for the heads up, mate. That's brilliant. Yeah, we'll check that out.
Yep.
Can you ask about the Blue guitar being 1,000 watts? It's 100 watts. But I'm guessing there's an extra 0 accidentally put on. But speaker cabs are 60. How so? Yes, we'll ask about that.
Yeah.
100 watt to 60 cabs.
Bill Rand says, "Sorry, thought you had a Sonic on your board." Is that right?
I see. No, I don't know what that is. What's a Sonic? What was it?
Sonic Boom, wasn't it? He said.
No, I haven't.
Sonic Stomp.
Sonic Stomp. Nope, I haven't got a Sonic Stomp.
What have you got on your board? Show us.
On the board.
On the board today, Carol.
It's just my live board. I've got a Keeley compressor, a BB preamp, the Andy Timmins edition.
Nice.
Obviously the tube screen goes really well actually with the Amp 1, and a super clean, which is it's a clean buffer boost
thing?
Exotic.
Nice.
With a little tuner at the top, down here somewhere. Other way, I can't point. God, everything's opposite, isn't it, on this?
Yep, it hurts, doesn't it, after a while?
Yeah. Anyway.
Right, here we go.
Ouch. Hi guys, do you think that doors have their own sound? The only DAW, we've done this before actually, but it is a really good question. The only DAW that has, or that we, and we both feel this, has a different sound is
Luna.
It's Luna.
It is. And at this point, I am going to welcome all the way from Germany. Please welcome on to the show the one, the only Mr. Thomas Blug.
Hey, hello. Great to see you. And I'm so happy that the technology works. I mean, we are doing crazy things here, you know, having one live stream, finishing it, moving on to yours. And I have no headphones on my head, but it's so loud. This is a Sennheiser MD25, probably the loudest headphones.
Awesome
so
stuff.
our audio is coming through those headphones, is it? Just blasting through those headphones. Oh,
Yeah.
right. Great.
I bought that headphone back in the days when I was doing the session work, so I could have the click on my head like killing me. And, you know, these are closed headphones, and then there's no bleed into the microphone for acoustic guitars, and you could do the strumming like...
Right. First of all, first question we have to get out of the way.
Yeah.
What is that Les Paul? How old is it? Because it looks pretty old.
Yeah, it is a 68.
Oh.
Some people can tell by this kind of pretty sign, whatever that is. And this, it is a guitar that is, well, it is converted. It is I bought it used 10, 15 years ago. It was, it had a terrible paint job. It was kind of orange and white. So it was pretty cheap. And these guitars, some people say, but that's, you know, one of those bullshit stories, I'm pretty sure, that they have been made from the old wood from the 50s, like, you know, your 59 Les Paul, which is not true. I can tell because I just played 4 59 Les Pauls on the weekend, and the real deal 59s are better.
Are they?
I mean, this is my affordable version of something like that. And I had a guy made me this beautiful gold top with the crackle. I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah,
it looks like
great.
a Murphy Lab. It looks like the Murphy Lab job, doesn't it?
Matthias Schindehütte from Frankfurt did the job, and he's one of the best that I know here in Germany. Yeah, can you see?
That's
see the
beautiful.
Because that's what I want. I've got it's a custom shop 57 over there. You might just be able to see it. Actually, I'll go and get it.
Yeah, get it. Yeah.
I don't have my Les Paul's in the shop at the minute, and I don't have a gold top anyway, so I feel out of this conversation.
Yeah, and this guitar's absolutely fantastic. The only thing is, I really want, and because I love a relic guitar, I really want that sort of cracked patina all over it, because this is a VOS finish.
Yeah. You know, there are guys that actually have nailed that craftsmanship of doing that, and it, you know, and then when the gold fades into the greenish kind of thing, that you know, all these little details, and then the crackle have to have a certain pattern, and then the marks. There's cheesy stuff out there, and there's beautiful stuff out there.
Yeah, completely agree.
Yeah.
I did a. Do you know? Have you heard of Lazy J amplifiers?
No, not really. Epiphone, Lazy J.
No, Lazy J. So Lazy J are these. They're like small twin. It's a small twin, like a boutique. It's a boutique amp company that's based very near me. A guy called Jesse Hoff makes them, and he's got a 52 that he lent me 52 like gold top with P90s. Oh, and it was just sounds amazing.
Yeah. I mean, there's a magic about old Les Pauls and gold tops. Do you know why they painted them gold?
No.
Because they could hide the bad wood under the gold paint. The bursts, they have the flamed maple top, which you have to cut into kind of halves in that mirror and look beautiful. And so it's all about the quality of the visual quality of the wood. But with a gold top, you could put anything underneath, But the secret is the gold tops usually sound better.
Why is that? Why do you think that is?
Well, okay, maybe one theory is like if you have wood that is very evenly structured, it has a strong resonance. And all this kind of resonance interacts with your neck resonance. So you have more peaks and dips in your frequency spectrum with the guitar. Whereas if you have separate parts of different woods from the tree, you have several different resonances going at the same time, and that kind of balances out the whole resonance system.
I can sort of see that. I mean, if you look at like a flame top, you can imagine that it's. I guess a flame top is the way that the wood has been compressed unevenly. I'm guessing that's how they get that flame. Is that how they do that?
I'm not the expert, but I think the flame tops, I think they are carved. This is like a plank of wood, and then it's higher in the middle, and then they get the edges shaped in a way with, I don't know what's the English word for Stecheisen.
That's a good word. We use that one.
Go with that, yeah. So, Thomas, while we're also talking gear, tell us about those amps that you have around you, because quite frankly, I'm drooling slightly at the collection you have around you, and then we'll get onto the new toys.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, there's a pile. This is my mid 60s, maybe 64. I have to look it up. Bassman, blackface. I mean, we all know that the Bassman is kind of the predecessor of the Marshall. I mean, and so this kind of is a little history pile here. Bassman, GTM 45, and that's a real one. It's a 1965 GTM 45 with the KT66 power amp, the big clear bottle tubes, General Electrics. If you still get those, this is I think it's a 69. You wouldn't call that plexi anymore because it is an aluminum gold panel, but it is one of the earliest of that era. 100 watt. I love those amps because I could modify them. This is a PA model. On the PA model, you have like an extra tube and all these inputs. So you can leave one of them like original, so you don't destroy the original tone, and then you can use the other inputs. Like they have 4 inputs, and do whatever fancy stuff with it and mod it to your own taste. So that's one of my Marshall platform mods here.
Very cool.
On the other side, I have the same thing. The one that says Thomas, maybe you can see it's a bit dark there. That's also a PA, but this is a black flag with the black flag GTM logo and the real plexi front panel. So that's a super expensive amp by now. When I bought this stuff, it was, sitting somewhere in the shop, and I was doing a clinic somewhere in Berlin, and told the guy, hey, what do you need for that amp? And then he said, look, whatever, give me 800 back in the days, and I knew it was a killer amp. So this is what is now, I don't know in pounds, but it's like 10,000. It's really expensive.
Wow.
Wow.
But anything that I own was 10,000 was my, it's upstairs, it's my totally original clean 64 Stratocaster with the original 3-way switch, never touched. That's the most expensive guitar I ever bought because that's a collector's grade guitar.
Yeah.
Kind of my retirement security guitar. You know, I don't even play that guitar, but all the rest here was reasonable priced when I bought it. And it's, I just bought it because it sounded great. And so this one is also modded. It has one original channel, and then the other one is kind of a GSM 800 gain stage cascaded channel. But it sounds warmer since the platform with the old transformer, the Plexi, it's kind of my favorite 800 because it's a 800 circuitry on the vintage chassis of a real Plexi.
Wow,
So
that's cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And this one is a very versatile modded Marshall with a low cut, which is switchable in 5 positions. And the extra gain stage, it's like this Jose mod that they all did in America. And it's switchable, so it's there when I want it, and I can kind of switch it off when I go back to normal. And that's a 50 watt. The model of Marshall is called 1987 50 watt, but this one is using 5182 power amp tubes, which is Zach Wild is using those. They have a bit different mid range, blah blah blah. You know, so and there's more upstairs.
Amazing. So you do tend to favour the vintage stuff.
Yeah.
Right. And that's obviously how you then put that design into the sound of those sort of amplifiers into the Amp 1.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I can my fascination for vintage gear. It is like when I go back for vintage Les Pauls or vintage Marshalls or vintage Fenders or vintage whatever, the stuff that comes from 50s, 60s, and maybe early 70s. My feeling, even my 61 Strat, is those designs have a certain puristic quality to it because they are kind of simple in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore the tone has I would call it an earthy, simple potato soup quality. You know what I mean? It's
Sure.
not too polished, it's not too processed, it's just like the instrument as it should be, without all the fancy whistles and bells and extra sparkling high end, and you know, it just works.
So if someone says, what does a Fender Strat sound like? You say, this is what a Fender Strat sounds like, not a super deluxe turbocharged Fender Strat. This is a Fender Strat.
Exactly. And I mean, if you ask Strat players, you know, which kind of Stratocaster they would choose, which they would vote as the best Strats for a Strat, most people would go maybe a 61, maybe a 64, but nobody would go an 84.
Yeah.
Or a 94.
Sure.
You know, so there must be something about those old instruments. And my kind of hobby and profession is to be excited about it, and then to investigate where is it coming from. And you know, I have friends like Trevor Wilkinson, who is into pickups and hardware, and he told me this is cold rolled steel and has shallow holes, so the mass of the block is important. This plate here is super hardened. It has whatever 14 or 40 Rockwell. I don't have any clue of that, but if you try to drill a hole into that plate, your drill will kill, and the plate will still be flat. And then there's, you know, all these kind of materials have an influence on that. And for some reason, this kind of combination is good and hard to improve.
Yeah.
And unless you want something else. And that's fair enough. I mean, if you talk about speakers, like back in the days, Celestian Greenbacks, okay, they had a power handling of like 20 watts at the beginning, and then they had 25 watts. And then when you have a speaker that handles more power, you have to change the design. And by doing that, you gain more power handling, more headroom, but you lose something. And this is what I would call the aliveness of a low wattage speaker.
Yeah.
You know, so there's always a trade-off. And I'm just fascinated by the vintage stuff and some modern stuff, but tone lives in the old world first. That's where I'm coming from.
That makes sense. Can I ask as well, because before you came on, we had some people asking about attenuators and load boxes.
Mm-hmm.
So you've obviously got some, you know, obscenely loud amplifiers there.
Yeah.
Do you use any sort of load box to quieten them down?
Yes, I have several options here. The options that I use for myself here is a real 4x12 Marshall cabinet in an ISO cab.
Wow, that's a great option.
And it's not mic'd up, it's just my reactive load. It reacts like a real speaker because it is a real speaker.
So what do you do if it's not mic'd up? What do you do? So it's in a box. You just listen to it in the box, or?
No. The sound comes from my blue box, which is this little thing here, and this replaces kind of replaces the microphone. So this is the speaker out from the amplifier. Maybe you can see this black cable here coming out of here, going in here. And the through on the blue box goes into my ISO cab, where the Marshall cabinet is inside. And I'm just using the cabinet as the speakers, or at the cabinet and the speakers as a load. So, and thereby the power amp sees a real load. But instead of miking up the cone inside my ISO box, which I did in the past, I'm using this little thing here, and it sounds maybe even better. I mean, it sounds good. So if I spend hours in placing the mics right in front of the cabinet, and then I get a really good tone, which I use on all my records. But lately I use this instead of it, and I get the same tone because this is using IRs of the combination of that cabinet inside my ISO cab plus all the mics that I used in front of it. So I kind of froze that
Captured.
ideal configuration of mics and speaker positioning. And this is the best I can do currently, because I get 100% authentic load, you know, reactive load, because it's the real speaker, and I have the perfect IR from my cabinets with my microphone, at least for me. So
amazing
in my own product. So
that's very cool.
Do you still use the big 4x12 with your amp one as well? Is the amp one plugged into that as well?
I'm just using that as the load, not on stage anymore. It's way too heavy, way too big, way too loud. And to be honest, the 4x12 I split it, so I have like two loads, one for this and one for the other guy when he comes to a studio. The 4x12 for me is just the load.
Right.
And it's, I mean, it's a luxury thing,
Yeah.
but I built that for myself 20 years ago to be able to record with these super loud amplifiers in a neighborhood. You know, I'm not living in an whatever industrial area where the next house is, 10 minutes away.
Sure.
So I have neighbors, and my ISO cap was the only solution to use those amps, basically.
Yeah.
And the second options is I have attenuators, like I have a Marshall SE 100, which is very old, but still very good. And I have a Groove Tubes, and I think another one, 3 of those. But all of these load boxes or attenuators, you have to compromise a little bit. That's the nature of what it is.
Yeah.
If you understand the technology of that versus a real speaker, in the load box, you have a big transistor to turn the power into heat, basically. You have to get rid of the energy, one aspect. But then it's a flat frequency response, because a resistor has, for example, 8 ohms at every frequency.
Sure.
But if you listen, or if you look at impedance is kind of a frequency that changes throughout the frequency spectrum. So you have like 8 ohms at 500 hertz, but you have 12 ohms at 1 kilohertz, or, that changes. That there's a curve that you can see. And this curve, a reactive load is emulating. Okay, that's one aspect. But that speaker is moving. And since the membrane is actually moving inside the magnetic field, the current that is put to the coil and the energy of the magnetic field also goes back to the amplifier. Mm-hmm. And this is kind of a spongy feel, like rubber band or whatever you call it. It's an interactive thing. And this is different from the real speaker because it's physics. It depends on how loud it is, on how much energy is put to it, and how effective the magnetic fields pushes it back. Therefore, I still love the real speaker connected. Mm-hmm. Versus a reactive load, which is pretty good, but it's 95% of 100%.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. There's Stereo Coffee's made a good point, or asked a good question. He said, will there be dynamic IRs in the future?
Yes, this is what I plan to do in my future project AmpX, because being aware of that phenomena, so to speak, that's the only thing that's missing in this signal chain. Because so far I have my good old tube amps or my amp 1, and usually I do a lot of A/B comparison between those, and it's like, if you can tell a difference, you win a mug.
Yeah.
But it's that close already. And then when we think about speakers, everybody is crazy about IRs. Yeah, finally I have this IR and I have that IR. And it is the best we can have at this point. But think of the whole thing, IRs, like a piano with a piano sample. There used to be piano samples, and now we have touch sensitivity. And it's not as extreme as on the piano sample, where it's so crucial to have the soft with this amount of overtones or a different sample. But this element is not there at the moment. And this is what is the next level that could be achieved. And I'm working on this.
Awesome. Well,
Very cool.
Can we talk about AmpX?
Sure.
When is because obviously it's I think it was planned to be out by now. and obviously, you know, we've all been through you know, coronavirus and all that sort of stuff, and I'm guessing that has halted the release date. But is there any news on release date?
Yeah, I mean, I officially will launch the product at NEM 22, which is now postponed to June.
Yeah,
which
June
gives me
the
more
3rd.
time to finalize stuff, which is
Yeah.
great. On the other hand, I'm happy that I'm not that much rushed anymore, because such a big project will still evolve even after launch, and that extra time gives me more time to work on it for the benefit of us all that is interested in the product. And I hope, and that's the biggest concern that I have at the moment, is that I'm also able to ship product, because these days components is the critical thing. I mean, here I'm not the only guy in the industry having problems to get codecs and stuff like that.
You're not wrong.
Yeah, and so I'm already planning ahead in ordering materials, but the hard fact is, if only one part is missing, the whole production cannot be finished. That's my biggest fear. You know, even if I have working prototypes or whatever, pre-production models, whatever, that is a critical thing. And I heard horrible stories about certain things, and I actually changed some parts already in the redesign to be safe, to use a different supplier for certain like codecs, for instance, to hoping that I'm not running into trouble with this other company.
And in the UK, we have another level of complexity when it comes to getting components at the moment. But let's not talk about Brexit, okay?
Are you talking about gas? You know, I mean,
Yeah,
I
we're
know
talking
that.
about gas.
Yeah,
It's
I
all
mean,
gone a bit.
this is a
It's crazy
yeah.
over here.
We're not talking about this, but it is a weird situation for you guys. I mean, unbelievable. But the whole world politics. Let's do 2 minutes of world politics is weird, because we just had elections here in Germany. You know,
Yeah.
it's like, and it looks like we have a change maybe. But hey, everything is so complex. I mean, on the one hand, you know, I get this idea. On the other hand, there's another reality, and there's the superpower of China, and there's blah, blah, blah. There is 5 things going on at the same time, and I'm just hoping that we have kind of a nice sail through the whole thing, that we Europeans will survive. That's how I feel about it. But anyway.
Yeah, back to guitars.
Can I just ask, actually, because T Jackson has got a point, and I think it was T Jackson that actually asked a question in one of my videos, and he was asking about so his question is, hey Thomas, I have the Amp 1 Iridium edition, and I run into the effects loop using the serial mode when I use a delay, and he has a whooshing noise. Can you help him with that?
Okay, the question is, what is a whooshing noise? Whooshing noise is like.
It says the whooshing noise is when I do bends and use my whammy bar.
Okay, we had the same. T. Jackson also wrote to our Blue Guitar site. So okay. I heard the clip that he recorded. So when the pitch is even, it sounded okay to me. He also said that he has that phenomena with another amp, but not with all of his amps. We actually have to isolate the problem, and I think my dear colleague Kai asked him to send a sound file, because what he sent to us was a delay and a whammy at the same time. and then we don't know where is it coming from. It could also be a digital phenomena which has nothing to do with us.
Yeah.
And from what I heard is the amp sounded okay to me in that clip. The effect sounded weird, but maybe he hears that more on our amp than on another amp. He heard it also on another tube amp, which
Right.
tells me it's too complex at this point. It's like three things, and we
Yeah.
have to isolate it to find what it is. It could be that he's overdriving the nanotube, and when you send out overtones into a tube stage and drive this hard, you get extra overtones. In that case, I would recommend to reduce the level to make sure that the tube stays clean. Maybe that's the
Yeah.
thing.
Is that the
And here's a
master
quick
level
one
or
for
the
him
input level?
Yeah, effects level switch on the bottom of the amp. Maybe try the other position if that helps. That's one option, but we will get back to him because I'm always curious about anything, and of
Yeah.
course also the customer problems.
Of course, yeah.
It's,
Okay.
it's a classic case of change one thing at a time. Don't
Yeah.
try and change three things, because then you don't know what the issue was. Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
true. Very true.
And this is very good that you bring that up, because we have that so many times. People have a setup that they are used to. They have a wah-wah pedal and a boost pedal and a whatever power supply connected to the whole thing, and then they change something, and then they write an email. Oh, my whole system squeaks, and then it's like, freaking shit, whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, and then in the end we isolate the whole thing, and then we found out stupid stuff like the wah-wah was switched on, and he did not, but the method is that's something I always have to repeat, is like, start with your guitar, your amp, and a speaker. Make the signal path as short as possible, and then bring in every extra, only one new device, one new cable, one new whatever pedal, and then the next. Otherwise, you will never able to tell where is it coming from, the problem.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, so going back to AmpX.
Yeah.
So just so the people that are watching, just so they understand exactly what it is, could you explain it just briefly?
Okay, the concept is I'm doing an analog amp, like my Amp 1, which I kind of think has proven that I can do classic tube tones in a smaller format. And, having a silver one and a black one shows the range of tones I can do. I came up with the idea and say, okay, if I can do that range, and why can't I should be able to do any amp, any style, from vintage to modern, from low gain to high gain, from whatever. I've seen so many guitar amps in my life, and it's a cooking recipe, and of course there's different ingredients used, but I should be able. I came up with this idea. I'm the guy that knows analog amps, and I want to create an analog platform that can recreate any tube amp or any amp that I have seen so far. Because you are the studio rats, you can recreate like mixes, for instance. You have even if you have an SSL console, and today you are able to understand what the SSL compressor and the master section was doing, and if you use that, hey, you can recreate a mix. You can, you have the knowledge. You've been there, you've done it, and then with this knowledge you can recreate that thing. So, with my knowledge and my experience, I'm able to recreate all those tones, but in a small and compact format. So next level is this whole thing needs to be controlled so that we can handle it as a guitar player, because the guitar player is a stupid guy that just wants to play and cranks the gain and the treble and the bass and whatever.
You've worked with Paul then.
Yeah, but you know, it's like so this Amp X in theory would be kind of like a whole recording studio with all fancy stages and options and patching and you know and all this kind of, like, think of it like a modular system or something. So, but using the small SMD components, you get tons of different circuitries in there, and then you make them so flexible and then kind of MIDI controlled or digitally controlled that you can tweak every stage to anything. And then in the combination of the different stages, like in those classic amps, input stage, tone stack, blah, 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 phase inverter stage, power amp, and the behavior of the stages, once you can recreate what's happening in every stage the same way, and then you cascade all and put this into a huge signal processing chain. You know, you would call this as a studio with a studio mindset, you can recreate an amp. And doing this all analog means no latency, no conversion. It is the real deal signal quality from guitar to speaker, but in my case, digitally controlled. So, and once you are on that level, you come up and say, okay, I need a processor anyhow. Let's put in a 16-core DSP that does all that controlling function and also have some effects with it. And then make the whole combination. And then my musician's mindset is like, okay, why do I need it? Because it's basically my pedal board in just one little unit, which is that size. It's just an amp 1.5, right, which is now, you know, any amp and my pedal board, or basically in theory any effect, once I have recreated that. And that's the idea about that Amp X. And this is for me, it's a platform that is a product that will ship with the sounds that I have in the Iridium in the Mercury edition. But then I will also create a website where you can download sounds, you know, the full digital world of shopping, and then you can try out whatever amp I probably do in a year, or in 23 or whenever I have the time. And the big difference of the Amp X versus like a Kemper or a Quad Cortex is I am the guy that is recreating the original amp, which means not only a snapshot of one setting of the amp, which is I can recreate, you know, the interaction of the tone controls individually and all that. And that's a super complex thing. And this is then internally with a unbelievable complex software, which I don't do. My software engineer had a burnout already. He's back on the block. He's back alive, but his brain was fried for a couple of weeks. There's neural networks that control all these interactions of all the parameters to make the result for the user being, oh, this is like that presence control of that particular amp. And that's the main difference when you look at my concept versus a Kemper, for instance, because the presence on the Kemper will be the presence of the Kemper that changes the snapshot.
Yeah.
But what I will kind of recreate the original one or whatever. I can also create new amp designs with this platform. And and I also think of a business model connected to that, so I can fund all the time that I spent with it. So I can collaborate with other amp guys, effect guys, or artists.
Amazing.
I think this sounds like a phrase that a couple of companies have kind of coined recently: digitally controlled analog.
Yeah.
And that to me is the way forward. The one thing as well, you're talking about controllers and controlling this platform. Obviously, Quad Cortex has been the big thing that's been finally available this year. And one of the main problems that people running a Quad Cortex and any kind of floor-based system is they're not exactly friendly when they mix with beer or liquid or anything that tends to sit at the front of the stage. Obviously, if you're on a big stadium gig, not a problem. But if you're playing down the Dog and Duck on a Friday night, some idiot is going to be there with a pint. And I've already heard of stories where Quad Cortexes have been written off with beer.
Yeah.
And so Paul was showing us earlier the control one. So basically, to have his floorboard still with, sorry, remote one. Sorry,
I've got. There, I'll show Thomas what I've done.
Okay, yeah, nice. Yeah.
So the idea of not having the absolute business end of things underneath the idiots with the beer is a really good idea.
Yep, that's the idea of the remote one. On the Amp X, I have a different protection idea because it will have a flap, and the flap will work like your ashtray in the car. So you push it, and you can close it.
Like
so
a beer
you
flap.
Beer flaps.
Yeah, and but I'm thinking about all these kind of things as well, and we have the Amp 1, which can sit wherever you want it. You can put it on your cabinet, but many people also play that on the floor, and we had a few cola whiskey ones, and it takes beer, but the best thing was the female singer with the high heels that knocked through the window into the tube.
Into the tube. Oh, she got it good and proper.
Yeah, and but this was only one case, and when we had the Euro finals in this summer, soccer, we shot a little demo where I played the amp running, and Richard was taking the amp from me, kicking it in, and then somebody put it back, and it was still working. So it is pretty solid.
Yeah,
cool.
But of course, you are right. There's always limits to stuff like that. But if you think back about how delicate stuff is in the tube world, I remember when Cola Whiskey with an Engel amp. Sometimes I play different brands just for fun, just to check them out. I'm curious. And if the tubes are really hot, and the cold drink comes to the glass bottles, that's the end of it.
Yeah.
And they all have like heat. What do you call them? The heat vent. Yeah.
Can I ask as well? Is the Amp X going to be stereo? Is it still going to be mono?
It is stereo effects. It has a built-in mono power amp, but it has the option to be stereo. It has the option to be wet, dry, wet. I think there are 5 simulators built in, and you can go any way, like classic guitar speaker cabinets, like full range flat response cabinets, any combination. So you have like 5 blue boxes or 5 of those speaker simulations. You can assign them, and you can maybe assign them only for your recording. So you can have like left that Marshall cabinet with a Fender blah blah blah, and you know, think of a whole studio packed of gear and all in this one box.
That's very cool. I'm going to put Safey's question up because we've kind of talked about Amp X and how it's a hybrid, modular kind of the best bits of lots of different things. But Safey's question is quite relevant to current models.
He says, Safey says, hello to Thomas. Is Blue Guitar Amp a Marshall at heart, or does it have the Fender roundness in its palette as well? Ampex coming in 2022. Any Blue Guitar design with preamp and power amp tube soon?
Yeah. Okay. I started with my Marshall hunt. As you can see, I'm surrounded by more Marshalls than Fenders. Next room, there is the same amount of Fenders. To me, the electronics that I have in the Amp1s so far, they are Fender-y. But the main thing you will notice from a Fender amp, as we know Fenders, is there are combos. And the combos have open back speaker cabinets. So the cabinet is at least 50% of the tone. And when you're talking about the Fender roundness, it means the electronics, but even more, it means the speaker. So if you want to get into the Fender world or territory, on my blue box, you have to use that side here, which is Tweed 112, Silver 112, Black 212, Black 210, Black 410. I can give you the name of the amps as well, Super Reverb and so on, blah, blah, blah. So it already exists. What I don't have in the Blue Guitar range of speaker cabinets is I don't have my open back Tweed cabinet, which I do have as a prototype, but I'm on the next level speaker design there as well, because I want to have a Tweed cabinet with a neodymium speaker that is as light as a feather and as punchy as a twin reverb. It's already there as a twin reverb punch, but I'm not 100% happy yet. Therefore, it takes as long as it takes. Maybe half a year, maybe a year, but I'm working on that. And what I can tell you about the amps, these amps, the electronics, I can A/B with my Fender amps, and I'm super close. The electronics are there. You just need to have the Fender-y speaker to be 100% happy when you wear a Fender hat.
Yeah.
I always remember with a friend of mine had a Fender Twin, and it had the big Jensens in the back. And I remember once we took those out of the cabinet just to clean them up, and I went, "This is where the weight is." Absolutely unreal.
If you see the silver thing here, this is my Fender Twin, and it's using the GBLs, you know, those orange ones.
Yeah.
And it's like, try to lift them. It's like somebody screwed it to the floor. It has wheels on it. This amp actually has wheels. Without wheels, your fingers, you can't play anymore. It's like,
Yeah. Hardio says, is Amp X full stereo with an additional amp? So is there going to be like an additional amp? Yeah, is there going to be like a Blug extra power amp that you can plug in so you can have your two?
Yeah, well, you know, Blue Guitar is a small company. Get your Amp 1 now and use it as a power amp for the Amp X.
That's a brilliant idea. That's a really good idea. Can you just do that? Of course, you just plug into the
effects loop, and you're there.
That's a genius idea.
Yeah, that's sure. And you know, some people think about, the Amp 1 has too many options. Well, if you look inside the Amp 1, 80% of what it is actually the power amp, because the big components is the power amp stage. And there's tons of in German we call it Hühnerfutter. What's the English word for the equivalent? It is the stuff that you put for the chicken. What is it? The
Feed?
grains that you put for the
Yeah.
chicken.
Yeah.
Hühnerfutter. It's tons of little parts around the power amp. But
Yeah.
this is kind of, you can place it wherever inside. So that, but the big thing is here. This is the power supply. This is the power amp, and this here is the preamp section in between. But if I could, the only thing I could cut off is the foot switches. And this would be the power amp.
Right.
Yeah. So that's the way to do it. In the long term, I will probably do a dedicated power amp for the X to be able to have that stereo. I'm always thinking in like modular ways. Some people want to play only in ears. They don't want the power amp. Well, in the X it's built in, but since it's so compact, who cares? You always have the option, and you have your stereo signal there, but you can also hook up a traditional cabinet or a full range cabinet or whatever, which helps to get whatever feedback and feel and all that, move some air if that's wanted. I try to offer all these options and respect different different ways people work.
If anybody hasn't heard a Blue Guitar Amp one, I think, Thomas, first time I met you was at Music Messe, probably getting on for 7 or 8 years ago, if not more.
Yeah.
And I remember you had a tiny booth opposite the Avid booth where I was working.
Ah.
And I remember thinking, my God, that's loud.
Sure.
And then coming over and chatting and talking about it. And I was just thinking, that is incredible. For a small floor-mounted amp, that thing packs some serious punch.
Well, I can simply prove it. This is a Marshall non-master volume. I play this guitar, and I put it. Let me put it. I think this is the one. Okay, so this is the amp. Marshall 10. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I switch over to my amp one here, and okay, I can prove that I'm. Even louder.
Yeah.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Volume power is not an issue. This is 1.2 kilograms, 1.2, which means nothing. And if I crank this this was on 7, but it goes up to 10. And it is as loud as a 100-watt Marshall top. So volume is not the issue. Headroom is all there. But for me, it's more about having the option when you need it. Knowing that most of the times you're not even allowed to go anywhere in this territory. And therefore, I'm very proud to have that good tone even at a low volume. See, I was with a master here at... I bring this down. Now I put my sensitivity switch, which increases the level, and have the master at a regular volume. This is more like what we are. Instead of where we were before, and still have my rich tone. The dynamic is there.
It is ridiculous how good that thing is. Like,
I put all my knowledge into that, and I didn't invent something new. It's all there.
sure.
But I made it usable. That's my job, you know. I'm a fan of those vintage amps because they do that rich tone and all this crazy warmth and whatever you call it. I don't know, but the tone. I didn't invent a tone. I just kind of knew exactly what it is, what's important to look after on all the levels, on the musician's level and on the technology level. And the stuff that I don't know as a technician, I have other people who are geniuses, because I know who is average and who is killer.
Sure.
As a technician, and I can challenge the guys, and that's my hobby, basically. You know, I have a guy who actually, put the magnets out of a 59 Les Paul, grinded it, and had recreated the same iron mixture of cobalt and whatever stuff is in the metal there.
Wow.
You know, and you can hear it. You can hear it. It's nuts, but you can hear it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the same with other things. We you know what the power amp does at this kind of volume. It's non-linear effects, and there's another thing why I'm a fan of analog electronics. In the digital world, you can have a lot of linear stuff easily done. That's easy for a digital algorithm to recreate stuff, linear phenomena. That's make a graph, follow the graph, boom, done. But the chaos that happens in a tube amp like that is so non-linear. It's like I hit the note, the voltage of the power supply drops because I suck out all the energy of the L caps. So by reducing the voltage, I reduce the headroom in the preamp tubes and the power amp tubes, which changes the curve and the clipping. You have a different curve of clipping, and this is happening in 3 stages at the same time, you know, and this is all crazy non-linear things that interact, and this is why such an amp is fascinating to me, because there's so many great noises I can squash out of the strings. This is what's my hobby.
Very, very cool. Interestingly, Mike Aiton asks, can amp 1 play loud clean?
Yes, it can. You switch to the clean channel, you crank the master, you make sure that that you use the clean volume not too high, because the concept or the idea of the clean volume here is like a Fender amp. A Fender amp doesn't have a master volume, so you have to crank the master to have the headroom from the power amp stage, and then you have the Fender tones that are clean, like don't go over 6, you know, like on a classic Fender amp, unless it's a twin silver face, because these are stiff, like ouch, and actually nobody likes those.
Mm-hmm.
But you like to have your headroom, and you like to have, you know, that's. Maybe we should go for the clean speaker Fenderish here on the blue box as well. You know, that gives you. I was on this Marshall-y speaker, but this is a. So
Sounds great, isn't it?
It sounds so good.
Really good.
Yeah, thanks. By the way, you are all fans of the Iridium. This is the Iridium now. The Iridium has even a bit more headroom, you know, because this was designed with my vintage hat on, where I thought, oh, I love those little bit squashy. And the Iridium, I had, you know, humbuckers in mind. They're both great amps. They have, yeah. But here, this is, I mean, transparent, headroom, everything you want.
Sounds great. There's a couple of questions actually, probably, and then we should think about wrapping it up. But where are we?
Where do you want to go?
I did see a couple. Sorry, guys, if we've missed any questions. So let's go to. I think it was Matt said something. Matt says, okay. Matt says, hi Thomas, have you ever looked at modelling the 8-inch Fender Champ speaker? It's a great complement speaker when recording, but I rarely see anything below a 10-inch speaker model.
I will look into all that when I'm working on the Amp X, yes. But I'm a small operation, so I can't promise when that will be done. But thanks for the hint. These 10-inch speakers, these 8-inch speakers versus 12-inch speakers, they have their unique quality because they produce a different frequency range. And so just by doing that, they kind of stick out in the mix in a nice way. Especially when you combine them with other guitars that have maybe been recorded on 12 inches, you know, 12-inch speakers. So this is that's a killer tool to, you know, to arrange guitars in the frequency spectrum using different speakers. And as I said, the speaker is 50% of the tone at least. I mean, when you talk about Fender amps, if you have the electronics of basically every Fender amp on the same chassis, on the same speaker chassis, you will not hear much difference from a twin to a, here's my Princeton and stuff, because it's a different wattage, a different headroom, but not so much a different character from the electronics. It's more the speaker. And therefore, Fender Champ, or I used to have a Super Champ, you know, and then I changed the 10-inch speaker in that one. Yeah, this is where the character comes from. And I'm all about character. And the X will be my collector basket for whatever comes along.
all the fun stuff.
Yeah.
So while we're talking about speakers, Guitarist says, what is the minimum speaker load for amp 1? What kind of 1x12 speaker can you use with it? And he also then says, can you use it without a speaker?
Well, you can use it without a speaker. It's very easy. Unplug the speaker here and the amp is still alive. The reason for that is amp 1 doesn't need a speaker load. It works with speaker load, without speaker load, and it has a protection circuit when there's a shortcut. So it's pretty safe, whatever you do to it. The only thing that it doesn't like is when the load is lower than the ohmage indicated on the output. And it is not the amp that doesn't like, it is just then the amp can produce more than 150 watts and the protection circuit can come in. So you have to play incredibly loud and then you will phase out a dropout once you exceed 150 watts. Okay, right. That's the technical side of the amp. Now talking about the speaker, it depends on if you want to fry the speaker. Well, you put it on 10, and you can do that. In other words, you can hook up any speaker to it, but you should be aware of the speaker limit. So I have done crazy things, like a 25-watt greenback in a 1x12 cabinet hooked up to a 100-watt tube head. I've done this with my Using Kettner Triumph back in the days, and I have done this in the early days of Amp1 as well, when I didn't have my own speakers, because I love the greenbacks. Okay, tonal things, knowing that there is a limit, because I was frying 4 of those speakers in my life, and I bought all the Recone kits from Celestion here in Germany. Anyway, and they sound pretty good, the Recone kits. That's the good news is, if you kill the speaker, the Celestion Recone kits are amazing. I thought I would have lost the speaker, but they can be reconed and they sound very good. Maybe better than the China production, because whatever. But okay, now serious answer to this question is, the Amp1 has 100 watts, but it has a logarithmic volume. So if you just check. Can you see? This is where the dangerous stuff is, past 6.
Yeah.
So if you have a standard 12-inch speaker at 5, you are safe. If you go to 6 with a greenback, that's the limit. With a vintage 30, which is 60 watts, you can go up to 7. And if you go higher, a single 12 is in danger. Which means is in danger when you play volume constantly, because the speaker dies of overheating, the coil burns. And so we have a half power mode here to protect people, because some people have the feeling, oh, I have a 50-watt speaker, and if I hook it up to a 100-watt amp, I will kill the speaker. Well, very simple, switch it off, press and hold that button, and now this is a 50-watt amp. Done. I personally think it's not needed when you are a bit careful and watch this. A very simple rule is, when you play louder, there comes the point where the speaker starts to compress, and that's the point where you should start to be careful. You know, it's getting louder, 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 and then there's not much more volume. And there's kind of a range which is here 1 or 2 numbers, and there's a certain point where the speaker just doesn't get any louder. Then you need an extra speaker. It doesn't help if you put more energy to the speaker. That just overheats the coil, which results in killing it. Right. So my rule is, whatever speaker, I don't even go for the 50-watt version, which is easy to access with the Amp1. But me personally, is like, okay, where's the speaker? Bop, bop, bop. I know this is the limit. Thanks, perfect. Whatever brand it is. You know, sometimes I plug into other cabinets as well, and I can tell you where the limit is. But it's like louder, 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 and then it's like, okay, we come to this flat curve. Stay away from the end.
Yeah,
makes sense. Total sense.
Thomas, I think we could end up talking to you for hours and hours and hours more. We've got so many more questions. But we've been going for like 2.5 hours. I think, can we get you back on at in the next month or so?
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a big pleasure for me to be on your channel, as I was so happy to have Paul, to have you on my channel the other day.
That was a pleasure.
I think it's great to have different questions from different audiences in a way. And I think super cool. We are connected, and the technical stuff works too. So
Yeah.
yeah, let's do it again. It's
Yeah,
not
we
easy.
had our 7 o'clock run through with my son on my lap, who thought it was hilarious that somebody else was playing guitars, which was amazing.
Yeah.
So.
Go on,
Thomas, thank you so much for joining us. Sorry to everyone out there, we didn't get to all the questions. There are hundreds. I know. Maybe we'll do a Q&A special next time, and we'll do plow through questions, and we'll do absolutely everything. It's been an absolute pleasure, and say thank you for joining us. Thank you to everyone out there in the internet land. Thank you to all of Thomas's crew who've come over to us for the second half. Thank you so much. We should give a quick shout out to Neil Conway, who has joined us for the first time and has actually signed up for the site. So big shout out to Neil. And we will be back same time, same place next week. So join us at 8 p.m. 8 p.m. I think it's still BST next week. It doesn't go back yet. So again, thank you massively to Thomas. My name's James Ivey. He's Paul Drew. And we will see you next week for more of the same. So until then, everyone stay safe and take care. Good night.
Cheers, guys.
Good night.